Hey guys, welcome back to another DRG video. This time we're going to be focusing on the focus shots. I'm going to do something a little different than I usually do. I'm going to say thanks to all the subscribers, the commenters, the likers, everybody that's been watching these videos. We have reached over 247 subscribers, I believe, at this time, which is about a fourth of the way to the subscriber goal to become partnered, and we are over halfway on the time watched for our YouTube partner goal. So thanks a lot, guys. It's been really cool to see the channel grow so quickly over the last couple of months compared to its former growth, which was almost nothing. Once again, thanks a lot, guys. If you guys enjoy my videos or anything like that, you know, subscribe so you can see some more. It's always appreciated. So let's jump into the topic of our video today. We're gonna be talking about focus shots for the M1000 Classic for the Scout. You know what the focus shots are? That's when you hold down the left click and it does more damage. The base, I believe, is 200% damage extra on a regular focus shot. So that's tripling your damage whenever you're using a focus shot. And that's just on a base build with, say, minimal clips or active stability system. So for this video, we're going to be focusing on 4 of the overclocks for the M1000. You can run a hipster focus shot build, I guess, if you really wanted to, but it's not recommended. It's just mostly because you're already doing less damage with hipster. Hipster is more about your rate of fire, so not necessarily about focus shots. You still can use it to get some kills to pull off precision terror and the hitting where it hurts stuff every now and then. Personally, if I'm running hipster, I'm probably gonna run hitting where it hurts because it's more likely that you are going to use that to maybe stun a Praetorian and then, you know, use the rate of fire to shoot it a lot. So I included minimal clips in this because it is pretty much the same thing as active stability system. It doesn't really offer any damage or anything like that. It does help your focus shots because it gives you more ammo and it lowers your reload time. So it really is good for a focus shot build. And you'll notice if you look at any of the damage values for any of these overclocks I'm going to be talking about today, besides hipster, of course, they have the same base damage for hipfire builds as the minimal clips do. So if you look at the base damage of these 4 overclocks, and those being minimal clips, active stability system, electrocuting focus shots, and super cooling chamber, they are all the same base damage as my minimal clips hipfire build, and I'll link that and my hipster build at the bottom down there in the description so you guys can check those out and see what I'm talking about. But each one of these OCs are as good with hipfire as minimal clips is. So you can really consider them all just hipfire builds that have a little bit extra attached to them. All of them besides maybe super cooling chamber could be considered as a hipfire build, mainly because they still do the same damage, and if you still use super blow through rounds and hardened rounds, it is essentially the same build as I showed you on minimal clips build. Just a little bit less ammo, but a increased strength of your focus shot. So that's kind of nice. So for a lot of these overclocks, I ran pretty much the same exact build for all of them. I ran expanded ammo bags in the first mod tier because you'll need more ammo to do more focus shots. Focus shots are 2 ammo per focus shot. So having more ammo allows you much more. Without expanded ammo bags, you only get 48 focus shots. So with a minimal clips build with an active stability system, you get 48. Electrocuting focus shots, you get 48. And with super cooling chamber, you get 32. We'll talk about a build later in the video that maybe has you going increased caliber rounds with super cooling, but not right now. So you're mostly going to want expanded ammo bags because it's really ammo efficient for these builds. On the second tier, you can go hardened rounds still, because if you look in the breakpoints in the Meat Shield's DRG DPS calculator, it breaks down how many shots to kill every creature in the game besides dreadnoughts and bulks with any damage that it does. So it has an M1000 classic focus shot section, and it's scaled to has 5 difficulty with 4 characters. So with hardened rounds selected, you can kill glyphid guards in 3 focus shots to the side with a minimal clips build and an active stability system build. If you don't have hardened rounds, then you can no longer kill glyphid grunts with 1 focus shot to anywhere on their body. So that's one reason why you may want to do hardened rounds. And you can use hardened rounds to use hipfire shots to take away the armor every now and then if that's what you really want to do. However, using fast charging coils definitely increases the DPS if you're running a heavy focus shot build. So it's really up to you. You don't really need to go recoil because that's not a big deal on a focus shot build. Even if you're using a lot of hip fire, M1000's hipfire isn't really that bad as long as you're not using, you know, hipster and just going crazy. So either use fast charging coils if you want a little bit more DPS, you want to go more focus shots a little faster and you're not really worried about the armor, and use hardened rounds if you want to kill glyphid grunts in one shot, or use the hipfire to take off Praetorian's armor. It's up to you. In the third tier, you're most likely going to want to take killer focus for almost all of them because it's more ammo efficient. You can run extended clip, however, and it does help a little bit. It definitely allows you to shoot quite a bit more. Extended clip will give you multiple more focus shots in each of the builds, at least 2 in all of them. You can consider going this, but killer focus with a 25% focus shot multiplier is pretty good for these focus shot builds, obviously. So you kind of want to go all in and go with the focus, in my view. Now in the fourth tier, you can go hollow point bullets, but if you look at the breakpoints in here on the DPS calculator, you're really not gaining anything out of this. You're still able to go glyphid grunts in one hit. You're still able to go slashers in one weak point, and you're still stuck with two shots to glyphid guards weak points. So it's really not that big of a buff, in my view. It's definitely better to do super blow through rounds, because if you're ever on the ground straight away using your focus shots, you will clear through like 4 grunts in a row and kill them all, because you're using a focus shot to do it. So it's pretty powerful and it's really ammo efficient. So a great build for a lot of these focus shot builds, pretty much all of them besides a specific super cooling chamber build that I'll talk about in a little bit, would be 1 or 3 in the second tier, 1 or 2 in the third tier. I would prefer 1, but you can also do extended clip, it's up to you. Then super blow through rounds. We'll talk about a hollow point bullets build in a second. And then you can use precision terror because you're most likely going to be killing things more often with your focus shots. So it's just more often going to be useful than maybe on a hipfire build. Or you can run hitting where it hurts, and that could definitely help you with Praetorians, since a lot of these don't do a lot of damage to Praetorians. Now, minimal clips and active stability system are pretty similar to each other. There's nothing crazy about the focus shot. There's no huge damage, but they still do a lot of damage. Active stability system just makes you shoot it a little faster, but you have a slower reload speed. And you also can move while you're focusing, which does create an interesting play style where you can kind of use it as almost as a shotgun, and that I mean the focus shots of the M1000, because you'll be able to run in very close range to all the enemies, and you'll be able to jump around and just constantly be running full speed and focus shotting. So it's a very interesting play style that really works well with people that are very, very good shots and have a very good mechanics, so you're jumping around and doing cool stuff. Active stability system really benefits with a playstyle like that. It was definitely fun when I was playing with it. I had some times where I felt that it really was kind of unnecessary. I just felt like that I was just running a hipfire build in truth, so it didn't really seem that great. It's still very good, and I would rate it as a top tier overclock for the M1000. And if you're gonna rate this scout overclocks, then you could put hipster, minimal clips, active stability system, and electric focusing shots as the top overclocks along with special powder for the scout overall. The GK2 doesn't even touch the top 5 in my view. Now let's talk about electrocuting focus shots a little bit, and by a little bit I mean let's just really just compliment how awesome I think it is. I think it is one of the best for the scout. After running a lot of electrifying reload, this is a way easier way to actually use the electric effect on the scout, and it is way more fun. I liked electrifying reload because you could get it on a lot of things, and it created a weird playstyle where I had to use my secondary a lot, and I had to just run around and spray and pray, and I had a fun using it. But this is so much easier. It's so much easier to just choose somebody I want with one shot that I'm already going to be using to electrocute and slow them down. I would be able to use this and shoot Praetorians on the walls, which would make them stuck for a long time. It's a 4-second slow. That's a long time. And that's easy to put more of them on there over and over again. Whenever any bulks would show up, just like with electrifying reload, this completely shuts them down. If you go with an IFG build as well with this, then everything is just completely slowed down, and it's very good. This is a very high utility scout build and very high damage, whereas electrifying reload was very high utility and just meh damage, and you needed your secondary to kind of provide your damage. With the M1000, electrocuting focus shots is top tier. It's definitely top tier. It has almost no downsides. It has slightly lower damage on the focus shots, but it really doesn't even matter. You're still able to kill glyphid grunts 100% if you're having hardened rounds, But if you do faster charging coils, that's totally fine too, because you'll be able to use your electrocuting effect way more often. So it's really up to you on that one. But the damage isn't even really that bad. It's really the utility of this build that's very good. You can still use this as a hipfire build or an entirely focus shot build. You can still run that on this, and it still works. You're not killing Praetorians, but that's really not what this build is for. So if you're really wondering what to do with a focus shot build and you don't really know, I would really consider electrocuting focus shots. Maybe active stability system, and minimal clips can work as well. I have included it because it's just like a baseline focus shot build. It is nothing that's inherently focusing on focus shots, but at the same time, it is a very good build for it. But electrocuting focus shots definitely top tier. And if you have to, if you're choosing in say your overclock list and just like you do not know which one to buy, I would definitely choose electrocuting focus shot first out of any of them. If you're running these kinds of builds, if you're running a hipfire build, then hipster and minimal clips are definitely good. So if you have a choice, then minimal clips is probably a safe bet because then you can use it for both. Now, finally, we're going to talk about the super cooling chamber overclock. I had mixed feelings about this. It gives you a 350% focus shot multiplier. You also cannot move, and the focus speed is lower. So while I was doing a butt ton of damage all the time and able to kill just about anything, you're able to kill all the regular grunts in one weak point shot and 2 glyphid grunt shots if you're using the hardened rounds. So if you're using faster charging coils, it's 3 in the light armor, but it's really not that big of a deal. You almost want to run faster charging coils with this because it is quite slow, but you still can run hardened rounds. So it's really up to you still. You're running the same build as you would in the other ones. It's still just not enough in my view. If you're running the same build as we were running earlier, then you're killing Praetorians in 6 weak shots and oppressors in 8. That's not terrible. But with the clip size you have, you're only able to do 4 shots. But really, it's not that great. If you take an extended clip size, it takes you all 7 of your shots to kill a Praetorian, which is maybe fine. You won't have to reload. So consider that if that's what you're wanting to do. Instead of killer focus, you could run extended clip with this, and it could work. You could even consider getting rid of super blow through rounds, and that could help you kill things a little bit quicker if you didn't want to run increased caliber rounds and keep some ammo. So that would be a build that looks like 1-1, 2-2, and then anything in the last tier. That could be a good Praetorian build that still has some ammo. But if you're gonna run this with dreadnoughts in mind, you got to remember that dreadnoughts missions have way less spawns, so you don't really have to worry about expanding ammo bags nearly as much as you would on any other mission. So if you're running a dreadnought build, I would definitely suggest going increased caliber rounds and then faster charging coils. You can go hardened rounds if you know for sure that you're going its twins, because they don't have unbreakable armor. They have regular armor like a Praetorian or a Grunt Guard would have. So you can still use it for that, and they'll break off their armor. That's just up to you. And then you can run killer focus along with hollow point bullets. That puts you at doing a crap load of damage. Normally, if you were going to weigh this would do 5 shots to kill the oppressors or Praetorians and their weak points. You only have 4 shots, but you still would be able to do it in just so you would just pretty much what's your secondary, and you would kill them with this. So I would run this with an IFG grenade if I was running against dreadnoughts. With an IFG grenade, this destroys dreads. They have a hard time doing anything when they're in this, especially hive guards. If you can get a hive guard with an IFG, they get really screwed up, and it's really easy to hit their exposed parts. And then once you've done that, unloading focus shots right into their exposed booties is really, really easy. I kind of was assuming that scouts were almost useless against dreadnoughts, but after running this build, they are definitely viable. With an IFG, with a cryo driller, and a super cooling chamber build that's focused on heavy damage, you can destroy dreadnoughts very, very quickly. So consider that if you're running dreadnoughts. Now, if I were to rate all these focus shot builds from, you know, like an A tier or top to bottom, then I would say electrocuting focus shots is definitely number 1, with active stability system probably coming in number 2, minimal clips coming into number 3, just because it's not doing anything special. It's still very good. And honestly, I would say super cooling chamber is the worst, because without faster charging coils, I often wasn't even able to get a full strength focus charge up. It just didn't feel great to always have to stop. It definitely made you have to decide how you were going to play the game as well, because you have way less ammo most likely. So you're going to have to actually just not shoot your M1000 at anything that's not a Praetorian or a large on the wall like a Menace, or if you're only going to be shooting at, you know, spitters and such. Supercooling chamber definitely makes you want to use a secondary quite heavily, so just use your favorite secondary. Anything works. If you don't want to use a special powder build, which works well with all of the focus shot builds because you'll be able to go to different areas and focus shot from those areas a lot easier. You can run a Zukov build with embedded detonators. Any of the shotgun builds will work because they all do damage, and even a special powder build will kill grunts close range. And if you use like the stun on it, it is very useful on Praetorians and such. So really the shotgun is great no matter what build you go for any of these focus shot builds. Embedded detonator is always great, I think, for Zukovs. Crowd mindless is good, and I'm sure the other ones are fine, but for Has 5, embedded detonators is definitely great to help you kill hordes and to help you kill Praetorians if you need any help. And realistically, it does a lot of utility in ways you wouldn't think, like killing the rocks in escort missions. So you could run cryo grenades with this, or you could run IFGs. I haven't really decided what I think is better. If you can get frozen off a lot, I would suggest running a lot of these builds with a cryo driller. If you know you're going to have a cryo driller, that is the best time to run focus shot builds, because that is the best time to do big damage. Especially if you're running a super cooling chamber, you're definitely going to want somebody to freeze. You could still run an IFG grenade if you want, but you're definitely going to want that cryo driller. And you're going to want to follow him around a little bit or pay attention to what he's freezing. If you see a Praetorian out there, shoot that thing whenever he's freezing it. So a frozen Praetorian, if you're following your drill around, will be killed in 2 shots with a super cooling chamber build. So really, you definitely want to run that with a driller, or run cryo grenade yourself and focus on killing Praetorians with your cryo grenades. But of course, I'd have to rate Hipster as probably the worst focus shot build, but that's not really what we're talking about here. It can work, but of course we're not talking about that. It's definitely the top tier hipfire build, but not a top tier focus shot build. Hoverclock, we're not going to talk about Hoverclock. Maybe eventually I'll do a video kind of talking about Hoverclock. I am not a big fan of it, and apparently it has some issues with hosting and working effectively. So really, I'm just not even interested enough to get good at using Hoverclock so I can talk to you guys about it. So really, we can figure that out eventually if it's any good, but I'm not so sure. But since you guys have been liking, subscribing, commenting, all that stuff, I just wanted to let you guys know that I am considering streaming during the week. We do have a Twitch channel, but it is kind of underutilized right now. We were running a lot of HOTS games on there and stuff, which is Heroes of the Storm, but we're no longer really doing that as much. So I can definitely find some time during the week, maybe a couple days during the week, maybe a Monday, Wednesday, Friday kind of thing, and maybe some weekends. I can also stream some DRG. I can stream some other stuff. I play a variety of different games. Right now I'm playing some Hunt Showdown. I actually ran into a subscriber there, so thanks again for saying hello to me. A Sox fan. That was really cool to play that Hunt Showdown game with you, and we won, so that was pretty fun. And I play a lot of different variety games. I got Gunfire Reborn. I'm looking to transfer into the Warhammer Darktide game later this year. I feel like that is a similar variety game to Deep Rock, and it would match with what I'm already trying to do here with this kind of game. I play a lot of co-op games, shooter games with classes. I'm really into that style of games, and I hope you guys are too. If there's any other of those kind of games that you guys like and see some content on, well, I'm going to be streaming, so you'll be able to find me. And I will link my stream down there in the description if you guys want to follow. And maybe you'll see me on this week, maybe Monday or maybe Sunday of this week. You'll see me on. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed my video on focus shots. I know it kind of takes me a long time to make some of these videos sometimes, but I really do spend a little bit of the week playing a lot of these builds, trying to figure out what I even am going to say about them. I don't like to just come in and just play 1 or 2 games and be like, oh, that's good enough, and then make a video about that. Maybe eventually I'll start doing that stuff if I can really figure out what I'm talking about, but I like to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. I like to make sure I get enough footage. So sometimes it can take me a while, and I hope this video isn't too long for your interests, and I hope to see you guys back again. And once again, thank you to all those who've been subscribing and commenting and liking. It has been a great boost to our channel, and you know, I'm really excited to maybe get partnered by the end of this year. That'd be really cool to just show that people actually like these videos, and it's just cool. So I really appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.